Good morning. It's Cindy from DIY Beautify. I hope you guys are all doing well today. With Valentine's coming up, I have been working pretty hard on coming up with some easy, inexpensive Valentine's Day projects that fit the farmhouse theme or neutral home decor. I actually really don't like red in home decor, and that sounds crazy because at Christmas my home is filled with red, but for some reason red works for me at Christmas, and I don't like the combo of red and pink for Valentine's, so I'm sticking with neutrals and blacks and pink for my Valentine's projects, which I'll be sharing more in the next few days, so please click that subscribe button so you don't miss anything. But what we're going to make today are these wooden bead napkin rings. Super easy, they're really cute, and they will work honestly for any season because the way that I'm doing the heart, it's like a button and it's going to be removable. So let's get started and I'll show you all the items that you need to do this craft. Please ignore the mess behind me if you happen to see it. I'm in the process of kind of doing a gut job on my craft room, and so there's a bunch of piles behind me that I haven't had a chance to move. But here are the supplies that you're going to need to do this project. You need some jute twine, and you want to cut it into 17-inch lengths. At least that is what worked for me. You may want to cut yours longer and then experiment with the size. As you can see, I have the ends wrapped as tight as I could in just some clear tape. Then obviously you're going to need some beads. Now these ones I purchased from Hobby Lobby. They're the wood pile round beads with an 18-inch hole in a 1/2-inch size, and I got 20 beads. Now I needed more, and I found a few. I keep a little jar with spare wood craft products, and I found a few that were slightly bigger. So my napkin rings, you honestly can't tell the difference. In fact, I was going to use, when I realized that I was short, I was going to use these little spools, just one on each napkin ring, but I didn't really like how they looked. So I took them off and I figured out another way, and I'll show you that in a sec. So obviously a pair of scissors. Now, I also from that wood pile section purchased a bag, and I'm sorry I threw it out, but it's a bag of small hearts, and you get several. And they did not come like this. They came looking like this, just the natural color. And in order to get this sort of a medium farmhouse stain on them, I took just a drop of this burnt umber acrylic paint, and I painted the heart and immediately used a damp paper towel and wiped it off. And I did that on the edges and the back, and it literally takes a few seconds to do all these hearts, and they dry really fast. And I like that it looks like stain without having to pull out the smelly stain and wait for hours for it to dry. So you're also going to need that. Now you can see that I turned, these were just plain wood hearts, no holes in them. I did not want to use any hot glue on this project, so I used my husband's drill. Actually broke a bit in the process. Please don't do that. I used a small bit and just drilled a couple of little holes so that I could feed my jute through and just tie them. So let's get started. The first thing you want to do is cut your jute to 17 inches and then wrap the ends with tape. Do it as tightly as possible because we're going to need them small to get through those hearts. So just string a bead on. Now remember when I said that I didn't really have enough wood beads and I was contemplating using those spools? I figured out a way to get just the round wood beads, and I'll show you real quick what a finished one looks like. I found that 9 beads worked really well, and you can see that if I go close, I made a knot after I strung a bead on. I tied just a simple knot. I didn't pull it super tight because some of the holes on these beads are fairly large. You don't actually see that knot there, but that's okay. And what it did by adding these knots is it just extended the beads a little bit further, so I didn't need as many. So just string a bead on, and I probably leave about, what is that, 2 inches at the end, and then wrap the jute around your fingers, pull it through, and then I hold on to this end of the cord while I am securing my knot, and I'm just sliding it down to the bead. All right, just like that. I don't pull really tight. I just leave it like that. I'm leaving this end loose only because I found that I guess I don't need to do it here, but I found that I had left my cord too long on the one end and I was getting too close to the other end, so I had to add another bead on here. But you can tie a knot, doesn't matter. All right, so we're just gonna continue stringing the beads. What this tape does on the ends is it just makes it so much easier to thread through the hole of the wooden bead. All right, so just keep adding your beads and knotting. Okay, so now I have my 9 beads strung onto my cord, and it actually turned out pretty even at the ends. Now we're gonna thread the hearts on next, and you may have found that your tape sort of started coming off or it loosened. If that's the case, go ahead and take the tape off and add some new tape. What I want to do, I just took my napkin, grabbed the center, pulled it so that it's even. This is how I figured out what size I wanted them to be. So I go ahead and just tighten that so that the beads are almost touching. Then we're going to thread the tape through the little holes of the heart, and I may need to redo my tape. There we go. Okay, once you do that, pull it tight and then just tie a knot. And a double knot. Ooh, I maybe should have added another inch to my jute because that's getting pretty short. And then I'm just giving it a couple of little tails and cutting it off. And I do have some tape to remove. That slides off pretty easily. And there you go. Wooden bead napkin rings. And like I said, when Valentine's Day is over and I want to take the heart off, it's a matter of just undoing that knot, taking the heart off, and I'll either tie a little bow with the leftover jute or a loose knot, and then I'll have napkin rings that look like this for the rest of the season. Here's a trick for the sizing. You don't have to actually use your napkin. Of course you can, but I found that before I tied this, if I laid my heart flat between the beads and then tied a knot, that ensured I had enough space in here to fit my napkin through. And then you can just take your napkin and slide. Oops, I did that upside down. Slide the beaded napkin ring right over it. You don't want it to be so tight that it's hard to get off, but you also want it to be snug enough that your napkin stays in this conical type shape. So I hope that was beneficial, and I can't wait to get these on my Valentine's table. You'll be seeing more of that, as well as I've got a ton of Rae Dunn inspired DIY Valentine's projects coming up. And I can't wait to show those to you. So please make sure you're following along. And if you have any questions, always feel free to just ask in the comments. I love to hear from you. I do write a DIY blog at DIYbeautify.com, and you can find me over there. I post a couple times a week. There's lots of home decor ideas, there's DIY projects, there's room makeovers, and I share some of our family's favorite recipes over there. So please come by and visit and check out my blog. Thanks, guys.